Hi, my name is Mrs. Overish, and I'm so glad you're here to learn with me today. We're going to be talking about different ecosystems today. Do you know what an ecosystem is? An ecosystem is a place where plants and animals and people live. But each ecosystem is a little different. Some of them are cold all the time. Some of them are hot all the time. Some of them rain a lot or snow a lot. And some ecosystems are a mix of all of those things. Kind of like where we live. We get snow in the winter, but hot summers. We're going to be talking specifically today about the desert. Today we're going to look at pictures of desert animals, plants that live there, and then we're going to talk about if we went on an adventure through the desert, what are some things that we might want to bring with us? Let's go ahead and get started. We're first going to start by reading a poem about the desert. We see a plant that grows in the desert and an animal that lives there. It's almost hard to see the snake in the sand because it's camouflaged into the sand. Do you know what that word camouflage means? When something camouflages, that means that it looks like its surroundings to keep it safe. Let's go ahead and read our poem. Our poem is called Desert Days. In spring, the desert is like the ocean so green. Blue cloud waves go by as the cactus lean. Animals run and dance around because they love their desert town. Birds chirp, coyotes howl, and snakes hiss, looking for food that they can't miss. They all have their nights, they all have their days, and all of the desert animals have their ways. We're going to go ahead and look at some animals and plants that might grow in the desert. We're going to first look at some of these pictures that we see over here. What are some things that you notice about these pictures? I noticed that there's a lot of green, but not a lot of other colors. In some of the other ecosystems, we see bright pink flowers or bright yellow flowers, but in the desert, we just see a lot of green plants. I see our big cactus growing tall and a smaller cactus down here that's growing a little bit smaller. I noticed that on our ground, it looks like dirt or rocks or even maybe sand. I know that the desert doesn't have a lot of grass growing on the ground, so that we see the dirt coming through more. What are some things that you notice about these pictures over here? Again, I see some big cactuses growing tall. I see a lot of flat, open land. I don't see a lot of buildings or apartments or houses. I notice that our trees don't have leaves on them and that our ground looks very much like sand or dirt. This one right here in the back, we have these big sand dunes. They're created when the wind blows the sand. They create these big hills. Right down here, I also see the ripples in the sand, or these little bumps or lines. That's also caused by the wind blowing through the sand. We know that it's very hot and warm in the desert. We often have a lot of sunshine, and there isn't that much rain. What are some things that we notice about the animals that live in the desert? I see that there's a lot of lizards that live in the desert, some meerkats that live in the desert, and these three things are able to live in the desert because they're able to burrow down or dig underneath the ground to be able to protect themselves from the heat of the desert. I also noticed a big animal. Do you know what this animal is called? This animal is called a camel. Camels are able to live in the desert because they hold water right back here in this hump. So they're able to use the water that they have been holding to keep themselves safe. Lastly, we're going to look at some of the pictures of what people are wearing in the desert. We know that it's very warm and hot, but I still notice that a lot of people are wearing long sleeves. Sometimes people wear long sleeves when it's really sunny to protect them from the sun. We notice that everyone seems to be in a boot or maybe a tennis shoe to keep their feet protected. I also see that a lot of people are wearing hats and sunglasses. We're gonna make a list of some of the things that we might want if we went on an adventure through the desert. We know it's very hot and dry, so what are some things that we might want if we were going to the desert? First, we might wear a t-shirt to keep ourselves cool. We might also wear a pair of shorts. But then for our shoes, are we gonna wear sandals or maybe a tennis shoe or a boot? I think we should wear a tennis shoe or a boot to keep our feet protected so we don't get sand in our shoes, so that we're able to walk a long way. What is some of the other things that you might want if you went on an adventure through the desert? You might want to wear a ball cap or bring a pair of sunglasses. We might also want to bring some suntan lotion to protect us from the sun. And then I would definitely want to bring a big water bottle, because we know that there isn't very much water in the desert, and it's hot and dry, and that makes you just more thirsty. So I would want to make sure that I had a lot of water to keep me safe. Can you think of anything else that you would take on an adventure through the desert? Today we learned all about the desert. We saw some animals that lived there, some plants that grow there, and we even made a list of the things that we might need if we ever went on an adventure through the desert. My name is Mrs. Overish, and I'll see you next time.